Hello and top of the morning to you folks. One last chainsaw purchase. You probably can't see me and that's fine. Don't need to see my ugly mug anyways. What you need to see is this beauty right here. Alright, so what we have here is a Jonsered 2055 WH, which means it has the heated handles. I picked this sweet baby up in Berlin, Germany. I'm still in Berlin, Germany. It's just on the outskirts of Berlin where I got it actually. I got it for a whopping 70 euros. The piston looks great. It could use a new ring. It seems to have a tiny bit of blow by, just a tiny bit. But it's in great shape. And now the pretty bar that you're looking at actually came from my brand new 2258. I just figured, why show it with an ugly bar? I'll put the nice one on there. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to talk about why this is not a turbo. I know that they call it a turbo. They like to say that. You see that right there? You probably can. All right. It says it on the side here. You know, but it is absolutely not in any way, shape, or form a turbo. So stop thinking that it is. If you do. All right, so I'm here to tell you this has nothing in common with a real turbo. The turbo is just simply a marketing strategy, and we got a dog barking, so we're gonna have to deal with that. So let's take a look at it. First thing I want to do is take this bar off because, you know, I'm actually getting this saw ready to ship back to the United States. And it's actually, I'm going to be trying to ship it on the airplane in my checked baggage. So I've got to clean it up, get all oil and gasoline smell out of it. And I've already done that to my two new saws that I purchased while over here. And but that's very simple with them. But what I'm trying to do is to avoid them saying, "What do you have in there?" Instead of saying chainsaws, because that's going to trigger everybody, right? They're going to be like, what? I'm going to say engine parts. Maybe it'll work. Maybe I'll be on the list of Interpol's most wanted for smuggling 3 chainsaws into the United States that weren't supposed to be there, dang it. We shall see. So, let's take a look here. Sorry about that dog in the background, but nothing I can do about it. So, alright, first off, right off the bat, this is one of those awkward designs that has the filter built into the top cover. And when you sit it down on there, it makes the seal. Bit of a shite design, if you ask me. I'll see if I can't remedy that in some way, shape, or form. But I will definitely be looking for another top that I don't mind cutting open, because this thing is actually in really good shape and I don't want to mess up anything permanently that I can't put back to stock. So we're talking about the turbo, aren't we? See that little blue thing right there? That little blue thing is your turbo. Had a nice long vacation over here, guys. It's been wonderful. If you want to know what happiness is like, marry someone, woman or man, I don't care who you kiss, but marry someone whose family is worth knowing. Because if their family is worth knowing, then they probably are as well. And I really enjoy my in-laws. They're very good people. Not just because my mother-in-law bought me a chainsaw, but no, they're genuinely good people that I like to converse with. And they're smart, intelligent, boy, whenever you get in one of those situations where your in-laws is somebody that you don't want to be around and they can't understand why you are who you are and they don't appreciate you, then they turn your spouse against you. It happens. Anyways, so right there, all we have is a typical recoil starter. Nothing special about this so far, right? Nothing. What we have right here is an extremely typical flywheel. Nothing special about that so far, right? Nothing. Okay? Nothing is special about this. So as the flywheel spins, it throws air, and this blue thing is shaped like this around that flywheel, and it catches that air and it throws it up here. And then the idea behind it is that it will in some way create pressure inside the top cover. All right. So inside there, we're trying to build pressure to force air into the intake. Well, I guess you could possibly call it the ideology of this design is sound. If you could pressurize that top cover, then yes, it would work similar to a turbo. But you don't pressurize that top cover. It's all a whole bunch of bullshit. The only way to pressurize something is if it will at least come close to hold water. You have to be able to push air into it faster than air can come out. And I do not believe that this achieves that. For two reasons. One, it doesn't, is not a true seal, but neither is a actual turbo. They're just close. All right. The main reason why you cannot do it, you cannot push air into this faster than it would be sucked into the engine, is because of your impeller setup right here. It's not because of this right here, because if you could pressurize this, if you could go fast enough, faster, if you could put air inside the top cover faster than the engine could suck it, right, and it could actually pressurize, then yeah, you would be creating a pressure capsule right there, and it would be working as a turbo. However, you cannot do that because this is a just simple, normal, plain Jane setup. So air can bleed from all around the starter cover. That's the whole point of it. It's sucking air in from that direction. And because it cannot sort of close the door on this right here, then it cannot build pressure. In order to build pressure, these fins would have to have a clearance of like 15 or 20 thousandths of an inch. So minuscule. And it would have to be on the front side and on this fin side. On the back side, it's already sealed. Right? So people don't understand that about a turbo. A turbo is not simply a centrifugal fan inside of a housing. It is a centrifugal fan that is machined to match that housing so that air cannot be lost and pressure cannot be lost around the fingers or the impellers of the fan. And this is why you cannot build pressure with your flywheel. Can you move air? Absolutely. A fan does the exact same thing. And that's all this is. This is a fan. This is not an impeller that pumps air. It's not. It's a fan. And it'll move air. The difference between moving air and pumping air is simple. The ability to build pressure. And this is completely incapable of building probably any pressure. But let's say it could build 1/2 of a PSI. Let's assume that it could do that. You still got all of the problems that you would have with the actual two-stroke setup, not being able to hold pressure that way. It's not a turbo. I think I've beaten that horse to death. However, it's a clever marketing strategy, and old timers like the ones who think that you don't have to take down the rakers, they will just simply wear down naturally as you sharpen the chain and use it. They'll believe it. They'll believe that it's an actual turbo. See what I'm saying? But I do not, because it is not. So, Jonsered is awesome, but the turbo thing is completely 100% just a marketing strategy. Bait and hook, uh, uh, bait and switch. I don't know what. Anyways, it's that's all it is. But now that that's out of the way, let's take a little bit of a further look at this saw. And so we have our heat right here, and it has two modes of heat, which is almost odd to me. It is odd to me. So you have number one right there. That is going to be a heater for your carburetor. Okay? And right there, that's the heater for your hands. What is odd is the idea that you absolutely cannot use both of them at the same time. That seems odd to me. So right there's your off position. So you've either got no heat, heat for the carburetor, or heat for your hands. So that's a little bit wonky. But so I've never owned one of these, and other than starting this one up, I've never ran one. But I have watched Walt, A Fleet Command. If you like stuff like this, guys, you got to subscribe to Walt's channel, A Fleet Command, all one word. I have no idea what that's about. Maybe someday he could explain. But he did a saw college with Spike 60, who is known as who is Bob. He's Spike 60 on forums and things like that. But Bob, the way I understand it, was a Jonsered dealer until Jonsered quit being produced. But and Bob had claimed that this was his number 5 pick of the top 5 Jonsereds of all time, because this is, I think, the very last model of chainsaws that was actually a Jonsered chainsaw. Somewhere around 1998-ish, something like that, Jonsered stopped making chainsaws, and they simply became rebranded Husqvarnas. And now I'll say that I know a lot more about Jonsered than your average dude. But compared to somebody like Bob, I am not worthy to touch the hem of his cloak. So, but what I do know is I like Huskies. I like them. And I like Jonsered. But I hate that Husky just took over and started making Jonsereds completely just simply red Huskies. I liked it whenever they were their own individual thing. And I definitely think that they were superior to Husqvarna. I absolutely think that they were superior to Husqvarna. Every Jonsered that I've had, I liked better than a Husqvarna. So, one of the things that Husqvarna seems to have done to the Jonsered is, like, this saw right here is a small saw. It's a 46 millimeter bore, 32 millimeter stroke, I believe, which gives you right on the cusp of 53 cc's. Same thing as a Husqvarna 55, I believe. So, but this one will actually scream to 14,000 RPMs. The manual, I think, claims that you want to tune this to like 14,200 RPMs. And for a stock saw with a stock muffler, and oh god, that is fast. So I can't wait to try this out and see what it's about. But What I'm talking about right now is what Husqvarna did to Jonsered. I definitely feel as though Husqvarna lowered the quality of Jonsered saws. So, this is a prime example right here. This is an inboard clutch. My my Jonsered 49 SP was made in like 1976, I believe, and it had an inboard clutch. Husqvarna's always held on to the outboard clutch, claiming that it made a more balanced saw. Well, I call hooey fatooey, that's bullshit. No, it doesn't. I don't think that an outboard clutch means your saw is more balanced. I've ran them both, I've owned them both. I definitely prefer this. And let's say it is slightly more balanced. I don't care. This is so far superior. And that's one of the things I like about steels. Steels are almost always an inboard clutch setup. It's just far better. So whenever Jonsered started just completely mirroring Husqvarna, all of the saws like this, which is, even though this is a professional saw, it's a small saw. Right? Jonsered would go ahead and put an inboard clutch on it. Well, Husqvarna, as we know, doesn't. You know, they try and stay away from that until they get into the real professional chainsaws, and we're getting into the 65cc plus chassis. Like even my 2258 Jonsered, which is a red Husqvarna 555, right, has an outboard clutch. That's just bullshit. That's a pro saw, man. It is an absolute pro saw, and it should have an inboard clutch. I'm certain, with almost 100% certainty, that the 562 XP is the same way. And I don't care about their argument that it's a more balanced saw. It sucks. I hate an outboard clutch, and any chance I get, I take it. Also, another thing that Jonsered always did, and it probably is derivative of an inboard clutch, and that is the brake system. With the Husqvarnas, the brake was almost always in your clutch cover, which is fine. There's nothing really wrong with that. But I feel that this is a better setup. So, anyways, just a few little thoughts. This cylinder should be... I can't open it up because I don't have a spark plug wrench with me, socket. So, I can't look in there really at all and see the transfer ports. But this very well should be a quad port. No. It'll be a dual port, you know. The large ports on either side, but a closed port setup. And it should scream, and I'm looking forward to running it. So that's it. I'm going to continue breaking this down and clean it up real nice so that they won't bitch at me whenever I try and bring it on an aircraft. Wish me luck.